Okay. I hadn't set up a array tutorial as of yet, so here we go. Now the array is set up so that you can do columns and rows, similar to what you might do in like Excel. This can work in 3D, but we're just going to do arrays in as a 2D entity for the time being. So if you have an object that you want just to do a standard issue array, which would be the rectangular array, if you let this load, you can select the whole object and then array it to specific locations. So let me just show you. If you select the tool from the icon, you would just select the object and press enter, because remember, you can select multiple objects for a lot of different tools in AutoCAD, so you have to press enter to continue past that. And it'll give you kind of a standard column and row setup. Now, with that, and once your array is active, you can change that by adding in how many columns you want and how many rows you want, okay? Now, you can also do in between. And what that means is center to center. So each of these has a geometric center. And so what I can tell it is I want from center of square to center of square, I want it to be 12. And from center of square in my rows, I want it to be 25. Okay, and it'll shift it. Okay, maybe I want it to be 1. Okay, and it'll reduce it even more. So if I make this, let's make this 25 too, so it makes it look a little bit more even. Come on. Okay. Went back to 12. Okay, and that might happen for you, and that's totally fine. So that is your basic rectangular array. Make sure you realize that when the array, so say if I close array, if I select it again, the array window will pop up. Okay, so then if you want to do a path array, you need to give it a path and you need to give it a shape. Okay, so say we come here with a polyline and I make it like this. I think I have you guys do a spline, so I'll show you spline actually. Under this draw menu are these splines. So you have spline fit and you have spline CV. CV is a little bit harder, so don't worry about that. Let's worry about spline fit. That just means that the points that you create will be creating the arcs, okay, rather than the other way around. Now, don't escape. Don't do what I did. So here you go. Here's your spline. Enter to complete it. And let's do a circle. Now you can do any circle you want. I'm just going to make this 10. Okay, so when you do path array, you'll select the object, enter, and then it'll ask for the path. And then do you see that because my object was not on the path, that it follows the path, but it continues the same distance away from the path as where the object was. So one thing you have to realize when you do this, if you want it to only follow the path, great. But if you want it to be on the path, the object actually has to be on the path. So let's step back with the undo, okay? And let's show you the difference. So if I move this and I place my center point on the path, and then I do path array, I select my object, enter, and I select my path, and it goes along the path, okay? Another thing that you have to be aware of, again, this will give you options. If I wanted this path to actually have rows, I could, okay? And you can see that it's item number and rows rather than column and rows, because it doesn't make sense to do columns. But the in-between will still be the same, okay? Then the third type of an array is a polar array. So for this one, you will need an arc or a circle, and you will need an object, just like you did with the path. So let's make our circle. And this time I'll use a polygon. So remember with polygons, you have to tell it the sides first, and then if you want it inscribed in a circle. So I'm gonna just I always like mine to be straight. I'm just gonna make this little polygon like this, okay? So I'm going to move that onto my circle, okay? My quadrants are active. You can see that it's actually attaching. And then when I select array, polar array, again, it asks me for object, enter, and then the center point of that array. Again, if it's not on the object, it'll follow the path of the circle, but it will not be on it. It'll be the space, the distance between the path and the object. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing as the other array. Now, if you type these in, okay, and you type array, when you hit array, you might get a default. If you scroll down, you'll have ray rectangular, ray polar, and ray path. Okay, so if you're going to type in, it has to be array, and then type in. If you just do array, it'll just be the standard array. Okay, so say I want to array this, and then it'll give you the options. Okay, so it depends on what you want to do. Okay.